every revolution or every political movement or any kind of change, and having someone, okay, CIA, which is fucking for you to call me CIA when you know I'm not.
Everything was politicized. It was, oh, this is when we became the left versus the right. But both sides are trash. In COVID,
his own thing. So it seems to be that money's the issue, that like we're using money and that's how politics is being pushed. Because now we've seen what someone does when they use their own money, and it doesn't seem to be a solution. So I feel like we take money out of politics, we'll have a much better political system.
Politician, you think they're gonna come out and tell me the truth? They was lying to my mama. They ain't gonna never tell us.
So everybody, we look at certain things just because, oh, this happens in the hood or we see this every day. All the way up. These people were speaking truth. King, we could talk X, we could talk it all. They were speaking truth.
What's going on in anyone's mind, but let's take it as a given that Gray's argument is true, that the argument to not have ID is that it would be discriminatory versus certain socioeconomic brackets or something. It's like
the world's greatest trial run of what people will do and what people won't do. And we are the only country on the planet that really fought against the government. A lot of it,
because you focus on 80-20 issues. I'm looking at the Epstein issue as we have 80% of the information we need to prosecute these people that actually did anything, but you're focusing on the 20% trying to take down Donald Trump, which you're never going to get. So I'm going to keep sitting here with a smug-ass face on every single day.
I'll explain. Good question. I'll give you the answer. The Republican Party constantly talks about transgenders and transgender surgery to minors.
I'm mostly on the left, ideologically, but I don't associate with the Democrats because they're not ideologically on the left. The Democrats are clowns, and they're also losers.
About to be any engaging conversation. It's not about to be any discourse about different political ideologies, what works and what doesn't. If that is the outcome, right? For example, I'm not gonna go and just put myself in the middle of a KKK rally.
Verify me, I'm not a fucking Fed. They always do this. I'll say this, right? But they did the same thing to Nick. We've seen the video. They'll call people who are genuine and authentic Feds because
the interesting thing to me is that the ones that claim that they believe the Constitution are now trampling the Constitution. The ones that said they believed in the First Amendment, the freedom of speech, right, are now going against the freedom of speech. The ones that...
So to see and hear this strong, compelling speech with emotion, I think that's extremely important for young men to see from a leadership perspective.
Y'all have no plan. They'll never talk about nothing positive about the Democrat Party. Everything is just anti-Trump. They're not willing to have a conversation. They call us fascists. We willing to have a conversation. Charlie Kirk's willing to have a conversation.
The only person in the world who thinks that it's almost comical how bad our intelligence agencies are getting at these psyops when the best they can do is send Jake Lang with a pound of bacon and a Quran down to Muslim town in Dearborn, Michigan to try to start the next race war, okay? Because here's how this operation plays out, right? Whether Jake Lang knows it or he's just what they call a useful idiot and is completely oblivious to what he's actually getting himself into. Maybe he just enjoyed prison so much that he's like, hey, Dear Lord, Lord, please give me a sign. Send me to the next place that can get me back into the DC gulag. So why not go down to Dearborn, Michigan, into a 100% Muslim community and take their holiest book. And I'm going to take a pound of bacon, which is basically disavowed in their holy book. And then I'm going to wipe this bacon. I'm going to beat this Quran. I'm going to beat their holy book and totally disrespect their religion in front of an entire community of Muslims. Why? Because they just want to start the next race war, right? Whether Jake Lang knows it or not, if he were to take a bullet for the team right there, nobody would have given a shit. They would have loved it, actually. You want to know why? Because that would have started the next race war. That would have been enough for them to come for your guns. It would have been enough for them to come for Dearborn as a whole and label them all as a giant terrorist organization. So if you're living in Dearborn, the best you can do when you see this shit come to your community, they can't afford to keep it up, right? Maybe our intelligence agency's got a big enough bankroll, they probably could. But if you just ignore these idiots and you just were to let them out there, if nobody from Dearborn actually went out there and even said a word and they just walked around the streets for a couple hours and then they went back home, good. Let them be there. Let them do it. Let them do whatever they want. Smack the crown with bacon, whatever. Don't buy into this goddamn psyop.
Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this panel show are those of the individual speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of this channel, its affiliates, sponsors, or production team. This content is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. Viewer discretion is advised. We encourage respectful dialogue and critical thinking around the topics discussed.
Party. Why I like the new party? Number one, it's a group of people that's on a panel. We all have differences, but we all basically still come together at the end of the day. The new party for me is about unity. The new party for me is about educating people to the truth, letting people know what's been going on in our country. With that being said, shout out to the new party, man. We're going to keep it going with y'all.
Welcome to the new party. I'm Nora Christine.
I'm Gray Mars.
Andre Williams.
Menzo.
And we have two very, very special guests tonight, Andre Williams and Reverend Jordan Wells. How are you guys doing tonight? Welcome, Reverend, and welcome, Andre.
How you doing?
It's good to be here. Good to be here.
Yeah, and I'm interested. We're going to have a great show tonight. We're going to address a lot of the hateful rhetoric that's been going on in our country tonight. Andre Williams just attended the Dearborn protest, so we're going to start with that topic, and then we'll move on to the anti-Semitism that's been going on in our country. Reverend Jordan Wells has an actual anti-Semitism organization, and before we kick it off, I'm going to play some intro videos for the gentlemen that are here tonight. First, we'll start with Reverend Wells, and then we'll have him tell us about his organization.
You haters, man, that put $7,000 underneath all your posts when you say anything about the Jews or when you give very good arguments for the Jews, it just shows low brain function. That's what it shows. It shows people that have very low brain function, right? They're not very smart. They don't know how to debate. I would never do that because I know how to argue my positions. When people don't have anything to say, that's what liberals do, especially. That's a liberal mindset. When they can't defeat you in an argument, they name call. I debate. That's what I do. I've been on so many shows. I became known through debating. When people can't beat you in a debate, they name call you. They say stuff like, so they can't defend anything you say. They can't defeat you on anything you're saying to defend Israel. And a lot of their points on Israel are weak. They just hate Israel and they don't care about your arguments. They don't care about what you say. That's how liberals are. You can I've debated a lot of liberals and you can tell them and you can ground in facts, but they're not grounded in reality. They're living in hate. They're living in an alternative reality. So they don't really care what you say because they've already made up their mind that they're going to be a Democrat. They've already made up their mind that they're going to hate you. They've already made up their mind about Jewish people, that they just don't like Jews no matter what you say. Jews are the devil. Jews are the enemy. They don't care what scripture you quote. They don't care. And so the $7,000 is just basically they are not smart enough and they're too full of hate to actually give, because the reality of it is Israel's an ally. Israel is a nation called by God. Israel has its problems. Israel's not perfect, but Israel's not the devil. Jews are not the devil. Jews are no different than anybody else. They all need to come through the blood of Jesus. So it's just a weak argument, and it's just exhausting dealing with these people because they're not very, they think there's like this heightened intelligence, but they're not very smart people. They're not good people. They're evil people, and they're satanic.
So, Reverend, briefly, can you tell us about your organization that you started? Because I'm really interested in learning about it.
Yeah, well, I really wasn't into, people know I deal with a lot of African American. I've dealt with a lot of that, but you know, God just put it on my heart when I started seeing the anti-Semitism. We have a church, we had a church, and we do a lot of ministry. And I just really felt it was important to start an organization specifically focused on, you know, as from a Christian point of view, because a lot of the people that are arguing against Israel, a lot of them are some of them are on the right now. And there are a lot of them some of them say they're people of faith, and they're saying a lot of unbiblical stuff. So I'm like, you know, the only way to combat this is through God's word and through truth. And the truth for me as a Christian is God's word. So that's what I do. So, I mean, I have a lot of theology education. I went to Bible college, I went to seminary. And so I know the word, I know, you know, pretty much everything about the Jewish people. And so I just started teaching on it. And it's kind of, you know, God has been good because it's been taken off. And we have had a mountain of support. We've had a mountain of hate. It's called Christians United Against Anti-Semitism. So we just got it started. We're still kind of building it, but we have a book coming out surrounding it, and you know, about Israel. It's a very deep political book and theological book. So kind of deals with genocide and all these things, arguments that people use to describe why Jews are so horrible.
Okay. My last question is, have you been to Israel yet? Have you ever gone?
No, I've never been to Israel, but I have a lot of friends that have been to Israel because I know a lot about it. I have a lot of pastor friends that go there, a lot of pastor friends that take tours every year to Israel, and have nothing but good to say about how they treat it and how it is over there. A lot of them say when they get over there as Christians that they begin to shed tears because, you know, it's a place where the Bible comes alive for them. If you're a Christian, you know, if you're not a Christian, then it's not going to be very important to you, right? But if you're a Christian, you know, when you go to the tomb where Jesus died, that should mean something to you. You know, I mean, even just historically, you know, if you're seeing, and they have all this stuff historically over there. So you go over there, one of Israel's number one thing is tourism. So people coming over there just to see the sights. So, I mean, that should mean something to you, and it means something to me. So, yeah, so I have a lot of pastor friends. So a lot of the stuff that they're saying about Israel, and it's just most of the people, they've never been over there. They don't know anybody who ever has been, and they're just going off stories they hear online.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
true. I've known a few people that have gone. But it's going to be an interesting night because y'all are both on opposite sides. I'm going to play Andre's clip. This is Andre's intro. Here we go.
And Jews, two people you're not allowed to criticize in this country. If you criticize Jews, you're an anti-Semite. If you criticize blacks, you're called a racist. If you say that Jews need to be held accountable for their actions, they'll say that leads to another Holocaust. If you say that black people need to be held accountable for their actions, they'll say that leads to Jim Crow or slavery. You see the similarities here? Very interesting, isn't it? Jews taught black people how to be professional fucking victims. And this all goes back to the civil rights movement. The NAACP wasn't just founded by black people, but Jews as well. 75% of the funding in the civil rights movement was done by Jews. 50% of the lawyers in the civil rights movement were Jewish. The majority of the people who were closely advising Martin Luther King and wrote his speeches were Jewish. Jews used black people as a weapon against whites. Jews fear black and white people working together. Jews historically have never been loyal to any nation they've been a part of. Now, of course, this isn't every Jew, but it's a majority of Jews. Jews feel that black and white people working together for the betterment of their own existence and the existence of this country that we live in, that's a threat to them. Telling white people that they can have no pride in their race and telling black people that they are a victim forever is beneficial to Jews. Calling this out doesn't make you an anti-Semite. It's just pattern recognition.
Okay, Andre, tell us about the video. That was a whole lot. It was a whole lot. It's a whole lot.
It was. I've been aware of the Jewish question since I was a kid. Reading Martin Luther, The International Jew by Henry Ford, understanding Gottfried Fetters when he was just talking about, usury. This stuff is not something that's like new. I mean, everyone likes to believe that the anti-Semitism, or like they always bring up this bar of garbage about anti-Semitism, like it started with October 7th for some gravy. No, this goes back like before any of us were born, before even America. There's someone who wrote a fantastic book. It's History of Capitalism and Its Enslavement on Mankind by Stephen M. Goodson. Very good book, extremely good book. Gives a detailed history of Jewish power and Jewish influence economically. And I just want to say, it's not every Jew. I mean, it's something that a lot of these people think like it's every Jewish person. No, we're really talking about Jews in power throughout history. They've always controlled certain positions of power in almost every empire, every prominent nation, especially within the West, especially in Western countries. And it's been a significant issue for a lot of minorities and even the people of those home countries. In the United States, the civil rights movement was extremely influenced by Jews. The NAACP, founded by Jews, co-founded by Jews. Like I said, most of the black organizations, HBCUs, all that was funded by Jews. Jews have historically always used minorities as a way to influence those minorities to go against the establishment, the ruling class, whatever. Because they always go back to their, we've got a historical struggle that we've gone through, and you're going through it as well. They always do that. And like I said, it's not every Jew. Every Jew is not a part of this. It's mainly those in power, and it's only a small group of people who's been in power for a very long time. So I made that video because it's important. I criticize the problems within the black community extensively. You can consider me far right. I'm not a leftist. I think a lot of these boring black conservatives, because they're lame and they really don't have an alternative, they always want to jump to you're a leftist or you're a Democrat because their understanding of politics is limited to what they see on Fox News and CNN. They're still living in the 90s. No, this is something that's a critical problem with our country. Our loyalty to Israel has not been to our benefit. The last 40 years in this country, our foreign policy has been guided by Israel, and it's been to our detriment. 9/11, that was for Israel's benefit. They had a hand in doing that. There's tons of evidence supporting that, as well as the Saudis as well. And we have not gained anything from it. Millions of people have been killed, displaced. We're seeing the mass migration into Europe and to Western countries from these Islamic countries because of Israel, because we've bombed and destabilized the country. The reason why Iran and all these terrorist groups say death to America is not because they hate America and they hate our way of life. They hate our allegiance and our support for Israel. Osama bin Laden wrote this extensively, that he doesn't like America. I don't like the fact you guys are here on my land and trying to fight these wars and cause these problems. So this is a critical problem of our time. And I think that the side of America first, America only, the anti-Israel crowd is winning. And hey, give it next 10 to 20 years. I mean, we're going to be in power out of the way. So either way, we're going to get what we want. No more Israel funding. No, a divorce from Israel is coming.
Jordan, I want to get your opinion in here on this argument that was made this week in Dearborn. Okay. I'm going to play the clip of what happened are you familiar what happened in Dearborn, Jordan? Or Reverend Wells, I should say.
Too much.
Okay. So Andre was one of the protesters there, but I want to play a clip to catch you up to speed. This is what happened at the protests.
America is a Christian country. Go back across the sea. Sharia law is not going to ever stand in America.
So this is Jake Lang, Jordan. He's from New York originally. He moved to Florida. He lives in West Palm. He's running for U.S. state senator for Florida. He was also a January 6th protester, and a lot has come out. Enzo, can you catch him up to speed on what you learned about Jake Lang, just so Reverend Wells is caught up?
Yeah, for sure. Let me bring it up real quick. So Jake Lang, somebody who was arrested for January 6th. He stole millions of dollars, raised about $10 million. He said he was going to disperse it to a bunch of J6ers, one of them being my good friend, Chris Quaglin. He did give a little bit away for commissary and stuff like that. He never had given anything or donated anything to my buddy Chris, who he was good friends with. He had an organization that he stole the purpose was to give all the proceeds away to J6ers. He stole millions. He kept funneling it into starting up to different startups. Point blank, he tried to raise money for a bunch of J6ers and left them all dry. kicked my buddy off the podcast that we're all on together because he started calling him out for his bullshit. And then there's accusations that he's also a Fed as well.
So I bring all that, Reverend Wells, catch you up to speed. What do you think about this whole argument that they're saying about what's going on? What's your opinion on what's going on in Dearborn? Do you agree that that we should be protesting what's happening in Dearborn? Should we be against Muslims coming in this country, taking over towns and that sort of thing? And the other argument to it is, like Andre brings up a valid point regarding Israel, saying that the reason why they're here is because of the wars in the Middle East. What do you think?
I don't agree with the reason that they're here is because of Israel. Islam is a religion of domination. If you look at the beginning of Islam, that's just look at it. You know, they were killing Christians. There's no religion that has killed more Christians than Islam. They tell you to, when Sharia law comes, to kill all the Christians, to kill Jews. They hate Jews and they hate, and it's in, you know, it's a guy who's very famous now. He was the son of a Hamas leader. He's been on Dr. Phil. He's been everywhere. His father basically started Hamas. And he said that they want to kill every Jewish person. And that's the truth. Islam hates Jewish people. It's in their books. It's in their, holy war. I believe, like Charlie Kirk said, that Islam is the greatest threat to America. I don't believe it has anything to do with Israel. Israel has never bombed anybody. Israel is not cutting off the head of Christians. Israel is not, raping young women, burning them alive, not for their religion. And so we don't understand. And that's why I got involved in the whole thing. These are theological issues. A lot of people don't understand it because they especially the people on the right, a lot of people say they're religious on the right, but they're not. They might go to church every now and then, but I'm talking about where they really study these theological issues. Islam has two branches of Islam, the Shiite and the Sunnis, right? There's one branch that is extremely radical, and then there's a branch that's not as radical, right? They just want to be there. The ones you probably see at the gas station, they just want to relax and be at peace. But there are segments of Islam, a lot of them, and it's growing, where they want to kill any person that does not convert. But what they do is there is a teaching in Islam that basically you can go into a country and act like you're peaceful until you get into enough places of position to where you can take over. So right now they're peaceful in America, but you can't look at the history of Islam and tell me, I don't care what your facts are when it comes to your facts. I'm talking about the facts of history. I'm not talking about what you think, your conspiracies, okay? Because I don't do conspiracies. I do history. I do facts. And history is full of the blood of Christians because of Islam, not Jews, Islam. And they've killed 100,000 in Nigeria, where Nicki Minaj just came and spoke. That was 100,000 Christians. And the people who don't care, they focused on Israel so much, they call themselves Christians on the right, but they don't care about the genocide of Christians, right? Because the anti-Semitism is old, it's ancient. It's not going to go away, right? I know it's not going to go away because the Bible says it's not going to go away, right? So, I mean, it's going to increase. They're going to hate the Jews regardless. They've been hating the Jews since the beginning of time. But I think that we definitely need to be protesting it. They did in Texas. They passed a law banning Sharia law. I think all the states need to do it. I think the Americans need to rise up before it's too late, before we have a Muslim president. And they get in enough places of power to where, and they call it Islamophobia. It's not Islamophobia, right? If you have a religion that believes in violence because you won't convert, that's not Islamophobia. Just look at all the other countries they're running from. Pakistan. Look at all these countries where it's Sharia law is. Women have to wear burqas. Women's rights are taken away from them. Homosexuals are thrown off buildings. This is a real issue, and I'm not, and I'm against all that, right? So you shouldn't be converted because you shouldn't be made to convert.
I'm going to have Andre go after this, but I want to get Gray in here. Gray, you bring this up a lot about the Bible and the story of Abraham. What do you think about this whole, about the basis for like Islam? I know you studied Islam before as well. Is the basis of Islam about hating Jews? And because you bring this up a lot, the fact that the relation between Jews and Arabs, what do you think about what you're hearing tonight?
If you're talking about the story with, Abraham's children, that's the scripture where it says that the Muslim side is going to be a donkey of a man that constantly fight against his brothers. So that's that portion where people look at it in the Bible and says these two groups of people are going to fight to the end of history. As far as like Islam being based on extremism, I'm not going to say that. I mean, because there's a religious text, and basically they say, some people don't act like that. Some people are good Muslims and want to be disciplined and just live a peaceful life.
All right, Andre, I'll let you respond. I know you probably have a lot to say.
Of course. Well, he said, Islam is of destruction and killing. Well, Judaism is of subversion. And we've seen that. They bombed the USS Liberty. You're talking about Jews have never bombed Americans or Christians. USS Liberty, it's one. 9/11, it's fact that they were complicit in the attack on the Twin Towers, the Pentagon, and of course, Flight 90, what was it, Flight 93, Flight 97? 3,000 Americans died, and even more died after that from cancer. So Israel's all been complicit. And also we have to talk about the invasion of Iraq and Afghanistan, how destructive that was for the Middle East. We can look throughout the clean break memo, which has been laid out, and Bibi Netanyahu has signed off on that. All these people throughout the U.S. government who are Zionists and who are Jews, they cause these problems in the United States. The Bolshevik Revolution done by Jews. Soviet Union mainly was formed by Jews. Islam's a problem, no doubt. I mean, I don't think Islam is compatible with Western civilization. There's always been a back and forth between Christians and Islamic countries. I mean, what the fuck were the Crusades about, right? But we always miss the problem with the Jews, because Jews have always, as I've said, blended into society, because phenotypically, if they're Ashkenazi Jews, they blend in with whites. Sephardic Jews can blend in with, Hispanics and whatnot. They've always found a way to blend in with other minorities. That's just something they've always done historically, and they practice this. They talk about it in history. This is not something that is like, oh, these are my facts and your facts are different. Well, this is the truth of the world and how history has progressed throughout its entirety. So to sit back and cry about Islam, the whole reason for why these people are over here is because we bombed their countries. Like I said, go back to the clean break memo. List the 7 countries that were defined in the clean break memo. The only one that hasn't been destabilized completely is Iran. That's the last one. Every country has been listed. Syria, Iraq, Sudan, Libya, Lebanon, all decimated because of the Jewish state, because of the Zionist state, because of the Zionist powers across the West. It's been destructive for Western society. It's been destructive for Black people. It's been destructive for white people. It's been destructive for everyone in the West. And this is why we see this problem. If we would have kept Saddam in power in Iraq, he would have dealt with the extremists. He would have dealt with all the groups that we sat back and we funded. If we would have kept Gaddafi in Libya, we wouldn't have the massive slave state that is Libya, that works to the benefit of Israel, because Libya was challenging the petrodollar. If we didn't destabilize these countries, we wouldn't have this issue. And it's all because of Israel. So this idea that Jews are not the problem in government or the problem within media. I mean, where we get all this homosexual shit, it comes from Jewish perversion. This is why the Nazis burned the books in 1933. It wasn't because they hated knowledge. It's because of the perversion. I'm not defending them. I'm just saying this is the reason for why they burned the shit, because it had a lot of the transgender stuff, which came from Jewish doctors and Jewish psychologists that promoted the shit. The homosexual stuff, all that ran by Jews. It was a big problem. It's a big issue for why they didn't want it in their country. Now, I'm not going to sit back and defend what happened, the killing. I think that's satanic. I'm not going to sit back and cheer for that. But, I have my opinion on the Holocaust and what happened. No doubt it happened, but I have my opinion. I'm going to keep it there. But to sit here and to cry about Islam over and over again, like I said, I don't want it in my country. I don't want it in Western civilization. I don't want it in Western cities or towns. We're seeing what's happening across the pond, but the root of it is because of Israel. Anyone who denies that has been living on a rock, or it's this, this black, especially with these Black conservatives. They've been doing this shit for months with Brandon Tatum and Tanish Peter and all these, faggoty Black conservatives. that really don't have any backbone. They don't know what they're talking about. They've been paid by Israel. Yeah, the $7,000. Yeah, I truly believe in that shit. You guys have been paid $7,000 for this shit. There's no way that you're sitting here. I'm not talking about you. I'm just saying the people adjacent to you. Not you.
Man, Jordan, you need to go give them a call.
You may need to give them a call, buddy, because you're doing a great job. I would say.
I have to cut off right there because
go ahead.
This is the problem with I think a lot of that is leftist tactics that you're using.
I'm not a leftist, buddy.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying you're left. I'm saying that's tactics of a left.
I don't follow leftist tactics
because I think as conservatives, what makes us different is that we believe that people can have difference of opinion, right?
Yeah, I'm not a conservative.
Your opinion might not be my opinion, but that's okay, right? You have your reasons for why you dislike Israel, and I have my reasons for why I defend them. But just destroying people's reason is saying, well, they're just bought by Israel is leftist tactics because
it's not leftist
the reason that I am a supporter of Israel is because I believe my Bible tells me to be. And there are millions of evangelical Christians. I know John Hagee's and I know a lot of big time pastors and Perry Stones and who are very evangelical who support Zionism in Israel. And so to tell them, and it's a lot of them throughout history who believe that. Now, there are Christians who don't and who believe in replacement theology and things like that. But there's a lot of Christians who are evangelicals to support Israel. They have whole coalitions, evangelicals to support Israel, right? And evangelicals helped win the election, right? Trump's election was won 60% evangelical votes, right? So all this is doing is pissing off the evangelicals, right? And a lot of them aren't going to come out and vote, right? Because they see.
Reverend, I have a question.
Yeah.
This is the argument for what a lot of people say. And I am in the middle on this. I am not a Zionist, but I understand your position. I'm a Christian first. I'm actually also half Moroccan. I don't know if I shared that with you. And I'm a descendant of Muhammad. So I choose to be a Christian. I choose to be a Christian because I've had personal experiences with Jesus Christ. So I could be a Muslim and I have family members that are Muslim, but I choose Jesus. But anyways, Heaven brings up a good point. In Islam, they believe that Jesus was a prophet of God. Jews don't believe in God. What do you say to that? Because this is an argument of a lot of people that are against Judaism and, using the theology and ideas that you say.
Well, first of all, people have to understand the gospel, right? The gospel of Jesus Christ is that the Jews rejected Jesus Christ, but the gospel was originally for the Jew first. Romans talks about that. The gospel was for the Jew first. The early church was Jewish. Paul, all the apostles were Jewish. So all the Jews did not reject Jesus. A lot of Jews accepted Jesus during the early church, right? A lot of them. Peter was the leader of the Jewish church. Paul was the leader of the Gentile church, right? So this notion that all Jews rejected Jesus is not true, right? And there are millions of Messianic Jews today. But first of all, the Old Testament is the book they used. The early church used the New Testament for most of the time up until like the 4th century, because the New Testament was not compiled until about the it wasn't compiled for hundreds of years. Those letters that we read of Paul epistles and all that was not compiled. So they only were using the Judaism Bible, right? And Jesus talked about that and quoted those verses. So this notion that people have to understand, Jesus was a Jew, right? I keep telling people that you cannot have a Christianity that disconnects from Israel. You can try, you can do it all you want to, but it's not biblical Christianity because the whole Bible was written by Jews. I mean, the entire Bible. I mean, except for Luke, who was a New Testament physician, all the apostles were Jewish. Jesus went to the synagogue. Jesus did all the feasts. He observed them while he was on earth, right?
So then why do they not accept Jesus as their Lord and Savior?
Well, the Bible says blindness came upon the Jews, but one day that all Israel will be saved. And so there's a lot of Christians that believe there's coming a time, because the Bible prophesied to predict that as the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled, right, that there'll be a time where a certain amount of Gentiles, which we are Gentiles, get saved. Once our heart becomes cold to the gospel, God's going to begin to turn his heart toward Israel and start saving mass amount of Jews. which is a lot of Jews getting saved. A lot of Jews giving their life to Jesus. There's a guy, if you don't know who he is, Sid Roth. He has a big ministry, and he has a ministry, churches in Israel. Millions of Jews are getting saved. I donate to his ministry. Millions are giving their life to Christ because of his ministry. Sid Roth, he's a Messianic Jew who has a big ministry in Israel. So they are giving their life to Jesus at record numbers, but people using the argument that Jesus is done with the Jews because they rejected him or they don't know the Lord is the same way. Well, we don't know the Lord. A lot of us reject Jesus, right? A lot of Gentiles reject Jesus, right? I mean, there's a lot of atheists in this country. There's a lot of agnostics in this country. God is love, right? And he loves everybody. He loves Jews. He loves Gentiles. You can have your opinion on Israel, right? As a Christian, I'm not saying you have to be a rock hard, fighter for Zionism. I'm saying as a Christian, you should love, right? That should not be hate in your heart for anybody. I don't have any hate for my brother right here. I don't have any hate for anybody. I love gay people. I love everybody, right? Because God says the first commandment is loving God first and loving your neighbor as yourself. So that to me is everything. So I don't have Jew hatred. I don't have spew, whites, blacks, whoever you are. I just have love. So I think it's hate. I think it's anti. I think what makes it anti-Semitism is when you say the Jews are behind everything, right? I think that is the root because that's exactly what Hitler said, right? It's Nazism. It's revived Nazism. That's all it is. The Jews, this is the lie, this is the excuse they use for the Holocaust, right? They said that because of Germany, what happened in Germany, the poverty, it was the Jews' fault, like he just said, and they start blaming the Jews. So then they start passing laws, start taking Jews' guns, they start removing them from their jobs, right? Because they had to get rid of the Jewish problem, right? And then that's when he came up with the final solution. That's when he came up with the final solution, and that's when he killed all the Jews. And I don't think it's funny because a lot of Jews were killed and thrown in ovens. And I think it's very satanic.
Reverend, can I ask you a question? How many cookies does it take to how many?
I think it's demonic.
How many ovens do you need?
All I know is there are a lot of Jews alive right now that are survivors.
I wasn't laughing at what you were saying, Reverend. It's the chat. I'm sorry. I wasn't laughing.
That's funny. I was laughing at the chat
anyone
too.
watches this replay, it was the chat. It threw me off. I'm
the
sorry,
chat is
Reverend,
I was laughing at the chat too.
It's very important.
Yeah,
what
I'm
you're
sorry.
saying.
I'm passionate about this because there's a lot of people saying "Hail Hitler," and they call themselves
because it's a joke, dude. This is the problem we have with this is the joke. It's funny, it's edgy, it's hilarious because people are so sensitive, and we're waking up to an understanding that when we look at what happened in Germany during the First War, a lot of the financiers, a lot of the bankers, a lot of the people who were making the munitions, who owned the factories, they were siding with the Allies, with the Entente. They were double-sided. They were not working in the interests of Germany. And this has pissed off a lot of the German soldiers. Hitler was a German soldier, was a corporal both on the Western Front and on the Eastern Front. He was pissed off about that. He was pissed off that the people who are supposed to be German and serving the German nation did not do it. So the whole reason was to make Germany greater than what it's ever been, to restore that honor within Germany. The German nation for a long time wasn't really disrespected in the way it was in the First War. They really weren't the ones to blame into it. And World War II was justified 1,000% when it comes to the land goals, and I would say the ideological battle with communism. I think that was justified. But when we talk about the Holocaust and everything, I mean, we can sit back and debate the numbers and whatnot. But let's go back to what you said. The Jews did reject Jesus Christ, and the Jews don't look at Jesus as a renowned figure. They have a lot of contempt and about to discuss for him. A lot of Orthodox Jews write about this. Your most religious Jews, Ben Shapiro, doesn't really like Jesus Christ. A lot of these people that you see that are so we're so pro-Christian, this Judeo-Christian bullshit. No, Judaism and Christianity separated at the Jews' rejection of Christ, because Jesus was not a warrior for them, was not a warrior of the faith for Jews, was not going to be a powerful figure for Jews. That starts there. And then also the crucifixion of Christ. When they partook in the crucifixion of Christ, guess what? That's when it's separated. And it's always been separate. We're two separate religions. We're two separate peoples. And it should be that way. And I'm fine with that. I have no problem with Jews having their own homeland, having their own existence, and practicing their faith. The problem is we've seen throughout history for a long time, going back to the Romans, the Greeks, going back to Napoleon, going to the Germans, and even the United States, that every position of power has been occupied by Zionists, has been occupied by Jews who only do things to secure their own interests. I mean, that's something that every people do. Every people are always going to secure their own interests for the sake of their own. That's just a natural thing to do. But Jews do it in a very subversive way that is against everybody. That's very selfish. We see this in economics. We've seen this with our foreign policy. That's like the biggest thing in the world. Our foreign policy has not benefited us in the last 40 years. It's benefited Israel. We look at everything that's happened. It's benefited Israel. Someone mentioned 109 countries. They've been kicked out of 109 countries for a reason. It's not because, well, they didn't understand them. No, there's certain behaviors and certain patterns that have persisted, and that's why they've been kicked out. But because hold on, because we live in this and this is the problem with Christians. Christians become this like peace and love hippies when they don't remember. We got to remind it that Jesus wasn't this peace and love hippies. This is the problem with Christianity, especially among Protestants. This peace and love, nice. We have to hug and love everybody. That shit is weak, and that's why Christianity in the West has been weakened. We need to be a little bit more chauvinistic in our faith. Islam is, Jews are, every other faith has a very, I would say, an offensive face. Christianity doesn't have that anymore. We're told to turn the other cheek and put our head down and let everyone come into our country and to shit on our religion, to shit on our faith. And this is why we're seeing what's happening to the West. This is why we start getting homosexuals in the church. We start getting, trans story hour in the schools. We start seeing a rolling back of our faith because we want to sit back and hug people. We want to sit back and let me stick a flower in your machine gun. Fuck that. We're done with that as Christians.
Wait, hold on, guys. Let's let Enzo respond. Enzo, I got a question for you. I want to hear your thoughts on Dearborn, but we're talking a lot of religious things tonight. Out of all the religions you hear, which do you think is most aligned with American values, and who do you think assimilates? Because you touched on this last night, and I want your opinion.
So, how I feel about Dearborn is a precursor of what could happen to the United States. Everyone's focused on Dearborn, but no one's talking about what's going on in Irvine, Texas, with the 2 Sharia courts that have opened up. 48 mosques have opened up in the last 24 months. More Sharia courts are opening up in Irvine, Texas. We've had 80-something elections across the United States. 40-something of them were Muslim people. This is 1% of the United States population. That is 26% of the elected officials in the United States now. I'm not, like I said last night, I tried to be nice about it. I'm not Islamophobic in the slightest. But as we could see in Dearborn, as we can see in Irvine, Texas, they're not here to assimilate with the United States people, with the people of the United States. Yes, this is a country of freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of press. Absolutely. But the United States was a Christian nation at the end of the day. We shouldn't have people coming to this country that are 1% and 26% of the elected officials taking over cities like this where they're not assimilating with the people. We saw it, the one episode we did with the mayor of Dearborn that said to the guy there, because of the call to prayer, the day that you move out of here is the day that I'm going to throw a parade, that he was going to leave there. I don't agree with that. We had a problem in New Jersey with the Jewish people taking over towns, Lakewood, New Jersey, as well as Jackson, New Jersey. They put an end to that. Jewish people have been assimilating well. Same thing with Brooklyn, New York. A huge Jewish community. They assimilate well with the American people. And like I tried to say, with other communities taking over, you don't see terrorist plots coming out of the Jewish community. You don't see that coming out of all these other communities in the United States. Dearborn, there was two terrorist attacks that were foiled in the last year. One of them tied back earlier this year to Muslim extremists in the United States. And I'm just going to say it straight up. This is a problem from the Biden administration, letting all these people into our country on these visas. And now we see that they're overstaying their visas too, letting the borders in. That's why we have an influx of people coming into this country. But like I said before, the United States is a Christian nation. That's the biggest religion in the United States. I'm not saying everybody in the United States should be Christian, but if you want to come to the country, just assimilate with the people here, not come here to take over.
Yeah, and I mean, this goes into the next issue that we were going to touch on tonight, guys, and that's why I invited you, Reverend Wells. Pretty much people are upset because of something Trump said, and does Trump and MAGA have a Nick Fuentes problem? We saw the Islamophobia, or we saw that in Dearborn, which I understand the reasonings behind it. But now let's switch gears. I'm going to play this clip from President Trump, Reverend Wells, and then I'll get your opinion. Reverend Wells, President Trump pretty much was like, look, I don't see a problem with platforming Nick Fuentes. Let's hear what he had to say.
Also recently had a friendly interview with anti-Semite Nick Fuentes. Tucker Carlson. What role do you think Tucker Carlson should play in the Republican Party and the conservative movement going forward?
Well, I found him to be good. I mean, he said good things about me over the years. I think he's good. We've had some good interviews. I did an interview with him. We had 300 million hits. You know that. Look, I can't tell him.
Should he be?
Will you let me finish my statement? You are the worst. You're with Bloomberg, right? You are the worst. I don't know why they even have you. We've had some great interviews with Tucker Carlson, but you can't tell him who to interview. I mean, if he wants to interview Nick Fuentes, I don't know much about him, but if he wants to do it, get the word out. Let him, people have to decide. Ultimately, people have to decide.
So, Reverend Wells, you initially went by Black MAGA Pastor, and you've recently changed your name. Can you explain to everyone why you made that decision, and where you think the MAGA movement and the Republican movement is going at this point?
Well, I got into politics because of my religious belief. I've never been a political person. I was a Democrat. I was not interested. I very much love ministry and being in the church. In 2016, because of Donald Trump and because I felt like our nation was going down a dark path, I became a Republican, but I got in politics, right? Because I was very impacted by Bonhoeffer and just that story. And so I just wanted to be a voice for God in that realm. So I became a part of the MAGA movement. And I've been supportive of Trump since the beginning. And I'm still supportive. I love President Trump. I think without him, this country would be in a very worse way than it is right now. But I removed the name because after Charlie Kirk died, which I think was the worst thing that could have happened to the conservative movement, because he was the voice. I tell people he was the heart, he was the conscience of the movement. Like he was the Christian light bearer that really kept all the gatekeeper. He was a gatekeeper. He kept all the trash away from the heart of the movement. And they took out the right one, right? And so that's why we see all this fracturing in the movement, because these were always there. But Charlie did a very good way of, for instance, like Nick Fuentes wasn't a problem because Charlie hated Nick Fuentes, And Nick Fuentes took advantage of the fact that Charlie Kirk's gone. He's trying to fill the void of that youth, those white youth who are looking for a voice, right? And Charlie was that voice. Well, now he's gone. And so now Nick Fuentes is trying to step into that. Well, so there's a division in MAGA right now, and I don't believe, and I have more support than I do attack. So it's not most of MAGA. It's not even, it's probably 10, 15%. But there are people within MAGA that are very racist. Right. And they're very and I tell people racism and anti-Semitism are the same spear, different sides. The same people who say hate to things of the Jews are the people who call me the N-word. I've been called more N-words than I ever knew possible. Right. I've been told go back to Africa, and I ain't never lived in Africa. I've been there once. My people helped build this country, and I have to remind them that, right? Our people have built this country. So and so I have no problem. I still love my Republican brothers. I'm a deeply Republican. I still am fighting for the conservative movement, but that MAGA has been hijacked. Right now we have the America Only. These are things I didn't sign up for. I don't believe in America Only. I'm not for it. I don't support it. It doesn't align with my Christian values. Right. So I believe God called America to be a light to the world. I believe God blesses nations. The Bible says righteousness exalts a nation, right? So I believe America was put on the earth for a reason, right? We've sent more missionaries and more people to preach the gospel than any country in the world, right? God blesses you for a reason, right? When God makes somebody a millionaire, he gives you money for a reason. I believe that. That's a part of my faith. I'm not saying everybody shares that belief, right? Mm-hmm. But that's my belief. So I believe there's a reason. Now, I'm not saying I'm just in disagreement with America giving all this foreign money, and I'm in a disagreement with that. But I do believe in America, how it has helped the world. I believe if America is not the dominant force in the world, I believe it's over.
So do you think we should give money to all countries or in particular Israel? I just want to understand.
I actually wrote in my book, I think Israel needs to become independent of the United States. I don't think Israel should depend on anybody but God, because I want to see what the anti-Semites will say then when they'll find a reason to hate Israel, right? And so I don't think Israel should be dependent on the United States of America. But I also don't think America should believe in isolationism, right? This isolationism, this America only, because just imagine when communism was fighting with Reagan and these guys, right? Who I think Reagan was a general. I love Reagan. If he was an isolationist, if he had that America only mindset, right now we would be living in a different world, right? If we would have withdrew, and Hitler probably would have won the war, right? And could have taken over the world, and we would be living in a different world.
But Reverend Wells, we did have that mindset back then. I mean, I'm going to let the guys jump in. But Andre, I know you have a lot to say, but let me let Enzo get in there. Enzo, you say America first a lot. Can you please explain it? And then we'll let Andre speak about, because you're also MAGA. So explain it for everybody. What's the difference?
Yes, for sure. So I would say I'm America first, not Nick Fuentes, not the Graper movement, not anybody else, because if everything that comes out of your mouth is Israel this, Israel that, Jew this, Jew that, you're not America first. Because I guarantee if you go ask anybody in the Graper movement, what are the 3 biggest issues plaguing America right now, they won't be able to tell you. It's not America first.
I agree with that.
Not. That's complaining and pointing the finger to somebody else. At this point, I think it's just comical, because you have people on the left screaming since January, the Nazis have taken over, the Nazis have taken over, the Nazis have taken over. That word's been so desensitized that it doesn't mean anything. You literally have Nazis walking among us. And I'm sorry, Andre, but come on, you said it, you guys say it as a joke. That's not a fucking joke at the end of the day. It's not a joke. Literally, we have fucking people. Charlie Kirk lost his damn life for that shit. Let's just be real now. It's not a joke. Calling somebody a fascist, calling somebody a Nazi, you guys say it as a joke. It's not a joke. They desensitize this, and you guys are capitalizing off of this entire thing. That's not America first. You guys are not America first. I'm sorry to say it. We're focused on what's going on in America. When I say I'm America first and I'm America only, I mean exactly that. I'm focused on America. That's it. Not how much money we're giving Israel, our alliance to Israel. Yeah, I agree. Israel should be independent themselves too. But I'm not going to sit here and blame the Jews for fucking literally everything. Oh, this happened in America. The rain, fucking Jews, this, that, that. That's all everybody does nowadays. And I'm so sick and tired of it. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. They're humans just like us. They're trying to do things. They're not the problems in America. There are bigger problems in America than them.
I agree. Can I say something to add to what he said? I'm gonna let Andre talk. I just want to say
Reverend, let me get my piece.
Can I say this real quick? You about to talk for? I'm just gonna be 2 seconds.
You went in for 10 minutes. Let me go on for 10 minutes. I'm going for 11.
Real quick.
All right, go ahead, Reverend.
I just want to say I agree with you. I agree with Enzo that honestly, I don't even want to be talking about Israel this much, to be honest, because I'm very focused on saving the country. Right? We have communists, real communists. We just elected in New York. And we have MAGA people that are completely distracted. 2028, we could get a Democrat back in power, right? If AOC runs, if Gavin Newsom runs, if they get a majority in the House and the Senate, it's not going to matter about Israel and money, right? Because that's going to be the least of the whole country's worries. Because what they're going to do, they've already told us, their project 2028, they want to pack the Supreme Court. They want to add new senators. They want to make Washington a state. They want to get rid of the Electoral College. They want to give mass amnesty. They want to open back up the borders. That, to me, is scary. That's a nightmare. Because once that happens, there's no way for us, the Republicans, to ever get back in power. So I agree with everything he said. I don't think issue is a top 3 issue, and I hate that we have to focus on it this much.
Okay, go ahead, Andre, because I know you got a whole lot to rebut.
Give me my time, and I'll. So first off, the Nazis weren't going to take over the world. They didn't have the resources to do so. The entire fight was between communism and restoring previous German land. Actually, it's been written extensively that the Germans were going to, if they did invade England, they were going to give the land back to France. They just wanted all the territories in the Lorraine, Poland, all that. So that's ridiculous. That's already been debunked throughout the years. The Nazis weren't going to take over the world. If anything, we would have had a Cold War. And I still think we would have won. I still think we had far more within us to win over the Germans. Simple as that. Anyway, this crying, this is the problem. Conservatives are so fucking weak, and this is why you guys are losing. That when Trump ran in 2015, when I was young and supporting Trump, it was not this gay new. A lot of these guys are new. They're new to this shit. You guys have not been around long enough to even talk about America first. When Trump ran in 2015, it was America first. The people supporting him were nationalists and we were populists. We liked Trump because he was going to close the border. He was going to get the deep state out. He was going to get all these people out that we didn't like, that were neocons, that got us in Iraq, that got us in Afghanistan. He spoke on these things. And then what do we get come 2017? We got the establishment GOP. We got Reince Priebus in the office. We've got all the people who got him elected. They start getting kicked out. The administration start distancing themselves from him. That's why he lost in 2020, because he sucked and we didn't support him because he was ass. So come 2024, we got Joe Biden. The country's going in a certain direction economically. Like, we'll give Trump another chance because there was a lot of high energy with it. I was very like, oh, this feels like 2016 again, because all the old faces, all the old guard that supported Trump originally, we start coming back to support him again. And what do we get? We get January 20th. We get a few executive orders, and then we start getting the pro-Israel shit. MAGA died in January. MAGA's been dead. You guys are new to it. It's been dead really when you start bombing Syria. But it really died in 2020 in this year. All right? It's been dead forever. When someone sits back and talks about the Jewish problem when it comes to foreign policy, when AIPAC, all these things, that's one problem. Crime, another problem. Mass migration. Those three things are the biggest problems for a lot of the people in the Groyper movement. Now, I'm not a fucking Groyper. I'm not about to sit here and jerk off Nick Fuentes. I'm my own thing. Do I align with Nick and the ideas around it? I fucking do. But I'm not about to sit here and jerk him off like we're fucking going to go have a sleepover tomorrow. But the people who support Trump early on, that wanted him to win and have been behind him, they're not you guys. You guys are new to it. People like me who have been here from the start, you guys wouldn't be able to fit into the crowd. I'm sorry. Enzo, I love you. All respect to you. But Jordan, you're new. And this is the problem I have with a lot of these black conservatives. They're coming into the movement very new. Because, they got bullied as black liberals and they felt comfortable being with the black conservatives and black Republicans. And guess what? Being a black conservative means nothing. Black conservatism has been killed by you people. You've killed it. Branham Tatum, all these people have killed it with your boring politics. They've been kissing Israel's ass and kissing the ass of the Jews more than talking about black issues or talking about America first. You want to talk, I don't want to hear about the Jews. Well, guess what? You guys have been talking about it for weeks with your Hezbollah content, with your Hezbollah propaganda all over. We're tired of it. We don't want Israel to be influenced in our politics. We don't want to go fight another war we don't want to go fight another war against Iran for Israel. We don't want our money going there. We don't want to see every politician taking AIPAC money and telling us that we have to support Israel because the Bible says so. And guess what? The Bible's not talking about that Israel. We don't want to see that anymore. And guess what? It doesn't matter what you say now, because in 10 to 20 years, people like me will be in power. People like me who have these ideas, who are staffers in the Republican Party, which will be dead, by the way, because of how weak it is, are going to be in some political office, be at the local level or at a senior and federal level. So it really doesn't matter sitting here having these debates, because the movement is behind America first. It's behind America only. We are nationalists. We want the betterment of our country economically. We're going to protect our interests, because guess what? For the last 40 years, economically, both the Democrat and Republican parties have been selling us out. And the Republicans have been doing it even more. When we look at these H-1B1 visas that Trump is supporting, we'll just have Indians and Chinese people come over and teach Americans. That's fucking disgusting. That's not what I voted for. That's not what I sat back and supported. That's not why I've lost friends over. That's not why I've sat back and had all these people attack me over the years, supporting this man for him to just shit on me and tell people my age who are going to be coming into the work, who are getting deeper and deeper into the industries and the workforce, be told, you know what, we'll just have Indians come over and replace you. You know what, we'll just have 50-year mortgages so you could be more in debt, so we can have more usury. No. So it's an unfortunate truth that, the Republican Party is going to die. The current Republican Party is fucking dead. You guys have killed it. Black conservatives, you've killed black conservatism with your boring, nonstop talk of this 1960s, we have to stand together with the Jews shit. We're tired of that. You're done. We want America first. We want a nationalist country. We want a Christian country. We want people, even if they're left or right, who want this country to prosper. We're going to work with them. But this stupid CNN, Fox News politics of the 90s and 2000s, we're done with that shit. And these people will be left behind. They'll be in the annals of history, in the dustbin of history. That's what it's going to be. So I really don't even have to listen to any of this stuff. Reverend, like I said, it's getting tiring. It's so tiresome to hear this from these types of people. But go ahead.
I want to let Gray get in here. Gray is the only person here tonight that's not on the right, not Republican, right-leaning, like we all are. We all are part of it in some way, except Gray. Gray, in your opinion, from what you've seen this year, you've been doing political content. Is MAGA dead?
I don't think MAGA's dead. Because like, look at Enzo's a prime example. It's people that are just diehard MAGA. I see the Reverend has like left MAGA, but from what I've seen with people in the chat doing this, that people still are rocking with Trump. I feel like Trump is synonymous with MAGA, but I also get what Andre's saying, because I have seen people on X where Nick Fuentes is making a point and Nick Fuentes is saying facts when instead of with Trump does say a lot of misinformation. So you have someone that's saying facts, of course you're going to pull in that audience.
I mean, and also a lot of people on the left are Nick Fuentes fans now. Is that fair for you to say, Gray, from what you've seen online?
On the left?
Yeah.
I would say
they're starting to slowly watch his content. Like, I don't want to say fans, like they're agreeing with what he's saying. They're agreeing with the things he's saying because he's against what's going on in our economy, against what's going on in the government. What, from someone on the left, what do you think of Nick Fuentes?
I think Nick Fuentes makes a lot of good points. I mean, like most people, I'm going to say Nick Fuentes is racist. Some of the things he said have been abhorrent. So, of course, I can't support someone like that. But when it comes to actual information, where you are getting information and you can say, this is correct, this makes logical sense, I feel like that's where Nick Fuentes has a strength over your typical MAGA crowd.
And Reverend, before you respond, I want to play this clip by Officer Tatum, because this is what he had to say on anti-Semitism. I'm sure you're going to agree with him and you can expound on it.
Now, and she comes out and she talks about our government shouldn't be giving money to Israel. We give $3.8 billion to Israel. Well, hey, woman, you work in Congress. You know that we don't just give them a piece of, we write them a check. They have to purchase military equipment from us, and it's military funding. They got to buy all of that military equipment from the United States of America. We almost have them on like a credit line. We don't just give them the money. She knows it, but why does she leave that out when she say it? They talk about the Israeli lobby. Okay. First of all, you got to be the stupidest person in America to say that AIPAC should be registered as a foreign entity or registered through FARA. They're American citizens. American citizens can lobby whatever they want. If you don't believe that American citizens should be able to lobby whatever they want, then you need to change the law. But to think that that somehow the government is going to make them register as FARA and they're American citizens lobbying on behalf of what they want, you're an idiot. And so she talks about AIPAC, but Qatar, Japan, Saudi Arabia, China, FARA registered lobby is far beyond what AIPAC is doing. Why don't she say that since she's so upset about foreign lobbying? The fact that they omit those things make me think that they're not genuine in what they're saying.
So, Reverend, I bring that up because part of the whole MAGA movement and what's happening in the shift had to do with MTG this week, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and that's who he was talking about. What do you think about that shift? And do you think that that hurts the MAGA Republican movement? And what do you think about what he said about AIPAC as well?
Well, no, I think Trump is MAGA, first of all. I mean, he just is, and Trump is still very popular compared to most presidents. Bush, Obama, his approval rating is like 44%. Theirs was in the 30s. So, I mean, he is MAGA. He defines what MAGA is. And that's the truth. And we'll see who comes after. They say it's JD, if he can bring these coalitions together. MTG is mad, and AOC said it. I don't agree with her on anything else, but I do believe she was right. She said that Marjorie Taylor Greene wanted to run for Senate in Georgia. And I believe she's out of vengeance for Trump. She's angry because she wanted to run for governor or Senate. There's a lot of people like Byron Donalds who are running for different positions, and I believe she wanted a position. And I believe she's angry that she didn't get one. So that's what it is. And it's politics. I mean, I've been in politics. I've run for Congress. That's how it happens, you know. I believe Trump sent her a poll. I know people in that world who said he sent her a poll, and she was 20 points down against the senator in Georgia. Georgia's a purple state now. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is too far right for most Democrats and independent voters. I'm in a purple area right now. I'm in Jacksonville, so it's kind of like Georgia. It's a very purple state. A lot of the people could swing either way. And MTG was too far to the right. You have to be like a Brian Kemp to win in Georgia now. You know, very establishment Republican to win. That's just how Georgia people are. So the far right, and that's what I disagree with Andre. Most of the country don't think like us, right? Most people on X are usually very political, right? But I used to be on Congress. I used to knock doors, right? Most people aren't very into politics, right? That's why people swing during election. Most people watch a little snippet here. We are the people involved in politics. Most of the normal voters are not anti-Israel, pro-Israel. They're about who can have the best agenda for the economy. Right. That's why if you look at the polls in New Jersey, the number one issue in Virginia and then was the affordability. Right. And now all the polls showed it. Right. It was affordable. That's what all the candidates were talking about. Right.
I don't know, Reverend Wells. After what happened in Gaza, a lot of people's eyes are open and they started questioning things because
I mean, a lot of people, but I don't think it's a top issue. I don't think it's a top issue for most people on the ground. But I'm going to say this about what he said about the MAGA movement. And I'll say this. I know for a fact that anti-Semitism is a major problem in our country, right? And I'm not anti-Semitic. It's anti-Semitism. I believe Andre's anti-Semitic. I believe he's very
Hold on. Define anti-Semitism.
I believe anti-Semitism is an over-fixation on Jews where you blame the Jews
That's not
for
the definition
everything.
of anti-Semitism.
And there's this standard for Jews that's different from the world. For instance, we'll say there's a genocide in Gaza, right? That's the argument. They're committing genocide. How many genocides have America committed?
How many genocides have we committed?
How many people have we killed? How many countries have we destabilized? Didn't we almost wipe out the Indians? Didn't we enslave black people for hundreds and hundreds of years, rape their women, Kunta Kinte, and all the people that we destroyed? So America's not perfect, and this is the problem with people not understanding grace.
Reverend, right? We don't live in the 1830s. This isn't 18, it doesn't matter. 25.
I'm just making a point. It does matter. It does matter. Anti-Semitism,
but it's not anti-Semitic to criticize Israel.
Most of the people I have seen that say the same things he's saying are the same people saying "Hail Hitler" or "Go back to the oven."
Because it's a joke. It's fucking funny. You can't
tell me that's not anti-Semitic.
You know what? This is a funny thing. I'm the person who grew up on Call of Duty, just saying like funny shit, calling people hard, doing all that shit. That's funny. I don't know if you played like.
Have you ever watched the movie Boy in the Striped Pajamas? I watched that movie. I don't think there's anything funny about the Holocaust. I watched that movie and I had tears down my face. Right. I don't think anything is funny about kids being thrown in the ovens. Okay. I don't think that's funny about people being turned into lamps. They made.
How do you feel about How about you feel about the genocide in Gaza being committed by Israel and how we?
That's a good question.
Because I wanted to ask. I don't like. Hold on. We always hear about the Holocaust. This is something that they've always, and they even try to use October 7th. This is just like the Holocaust when these people in the Middle East have been getting genocided for decades now. And now we're only speaking up because, it's a political topic. This has been going on for a very long time. But now we want to sit back and cry about it. And the moment you call this out, you're called an anti-Semite. And it's the same thing what they do when you call out black people, like I've been doing for a year. You get called a racist or you get called self-hating. Give me a fucking break with this shit. They want to call us lefties and say that we're on the left. This is what I'm saying with this red team, blue team politics. These people have no understanding of politics beyond, what they see on the television. No, calling out Jewish power in our government, the influence, the laws that they pass when it comes to anti-Semitism, this garbage. It's only criticizing Israel. What they've done to TikTok, what they've done with all these social media platforms. The moment you mention Israel, because I'm very happy to see this now. 10 years ago, when I was in high school reading
Jews
about,
are being attacked on
10 years ago, when I was
Jews
reading
are being
about Christians are being attacked around the world.
Jews
what are you talking about?
on college universities,
Christians are being
they were
attacked
blocking
in Europe.
Jews
What are
from
you
going
talking
into
about?
campus.
Okay,
In New
Christians are
York,
being
they
attacked
just
constantly.
in New York, they just were
Christians are
chanting.
being attacked.
They were chanting Holocaust, Hail Hitler, right
Okay,
in
funny.
front of a
Funny.
Jewish
You know
synagogue.
what Jews in Israel do? They make fun of killing Palestinians. They make fun. Yes, it does matter because these are the people. These are the people. Hold on.
What you're doing,
Reverend,
you're justifying
these people. I'm
is
not
wrong,
justifying
regardless
evil.
if it's a Jew,
Evil is
a
subjective,
black
my friend.
person.
Go read some Nietzsche or something. Evil is subjective.
Can we
I'm not
just
into.
say
Don't get into
that
this moral
evil-
faggotry.
Can we just saying Hail Hitler is wrong?
Don't get into the moral homosexuality. I don't know if that's the way you float, but that's like, no, we're not about to do that. You know, when we talk about
Reverend
good and
Wells,
evil.
I'll say this: saying "Hail Hitler" is wrong. I'll denounce it. But how can you defend what happened in Gaza? That's my question.
What I would say about Gaza is this, right? I don't agree, just like I didn't agree in 9/11, right? I believe that a person can disagree with Benjamin Netanyahu. And I just wrote in my book, there are people in Israel who don't like Benjamin Netanyahu, right? There are people protesting him right now and want him out of office, right? And he probably won't win re-election because a lot of the people in Israel aren't happy about it. Right. So he probably won't win re-election and he's going to be in a lot of trouble, probably. Right. I don't agree with his handling of the war. I think he did not do a very good job. I think they won the visual effect of it. I think I don't agree with it. Right. But at the same time, Hamas attacked Israel. Right?
Why did they attack
Israel first? And they always attack Israel first.
Why have they attacked Israel?
Because they hate Jews.
And you want to know why they hate Israel? Reverend, stop.
He's justifying people hating Jews.
No, we're going to explain the history.
It's like an abusive relationship.
Reverend,
you slap me
if I do
because I
something,
did something.
this is what I'm talking about. Reverend, the
But
reason for why
I let you talk,
Reverend,
but you're not letting me talk.
Reverend, you're chimping out. That's the problem.
But no, you're not letting me talk. I let you say your things. Now let me make my point and stop.
I want to make my point. You're not even coming from an informed perspective.
Okay, but I'm making my point, and it is informed. But that's what I'm talking about. What I say, you say leftist stuff because when I come on here, we respect. We all respect each other's opinions. That's how I've been on this show about 5 times. Every person that I'm on here with, we usually respect. You're not giving him respect, and you're not giving me respect.
I'm trying to explain the point.
You made gay implications, which is very disrespectful. And the only reason I'm still on here is because of those two. Because I respect him and I respect her. Because I don't call people out of their name. That's not how I roll.
I do because we have to learn. We have to understand that this is political warfare. I'm not in this. Hold on. I'm not into this Care Bear. This is the problem.
That is not Care Bear. It's called respect.
It's called morals. For 2 seconds.
You should learn about morals.
You're chimping out a lot.
I have character.
You're chimping out. I don't know if chimping out has character, but okay. Let me get back into. Let's get back into the war. The reason for why Hamas.
I believe in actually following the principles that I preach.
Reverend,
I don't have to tear your character down to make a point.
I'm going to tear your character down because you're destroying an entire movement.
Andre, hold on. Let him land the plane, and then you can.
Yeah, I'm gonna land it. Like I said, I don't have to tear anybody down, and this is the problem with these type of people. They are not Big Tent people. They're not. They want to destroy the coalition. I believe they are just as bad as the left. They are just as bad. They want to destroy the movement, just like Nick Fuentes, and he probably, Nick Fuentes said he wants to destroy the GOP. That's not Charlie Kirk. That's not what Charlie wanted, and that's not how we won in 2024. Their opinions is the only one that matter, and that's narcissism. That's what it is. Their opinion is the only one that matters. They're the ones that get to define MAGA. That even though evangelicals brought them to the dance, the Jew lovers, they're the ones that got everybody elected for the last 20, 30 years. But all of a sudden, they're the problem, and these America First are here to save the day, and that is disrespectful. Charlie would say there's a Big Tent. That means your opinion is valid and you can have that. But don't say that our opinion is not valid. We have to get out of the movement. Our opinion is going to be dead because that's left. That's like the left saying if you're not a Democrat socialist like Mandami, that you're not welcome in the Democrat Party, right? Big Tent thinking says we can disagree. See how disrespectful he's been? That's not I didn't do that to him. I don't think his opinion's a joke, but that's how he acts. So it's okay. But that's what we're dealing with on the right now. People who say they're on the right,
and we're winning.
We have a lot of people who do not value the things that they brought us to the dance. And I think the Republican Party at this instance, the way we are, because of people like him, Nick Fuentes, I think the Republican Party will lose. I do.
You think 2028?
I think 2028, if this continues,
will be a bloodbath.
Yeah, I think in 2028, if these type of people don't have an awakening, I think where they basically, I'm not saying they have to change their opinion, but I'm saying what they said, like what Enzo said, where they don't realize that their opinion is not God, and that their opinion is not the only thing that matters, and that we need to work together to beat the left. I think what will end up happening is a Democrat is going to get back in power. And I think America will look like Venezuela in the next 10 years. And I think that the Democrats will be locked in power. And I think there'll only be Democrats presidents from now on. That's what I think if this continues.
Okay, Reverend. Okay, so this is why people like myself, people who watch Myron Gaines, Nick Fuentes, we're winning. People from high school who disagree with me like aggressively. They're reposting Nick content. They're watching Myron. They're listening to Jake Shields. They like Candace. That's the real neutral part. They love Candace. That's a great thing. I love seeing that. And they're aware of the Jewish question. Listen, like I said, it's not about this like total, we hate Jews and we just want them to go like, that's stupid. Do we make jokes? Yeah, I make fucking jokes. I mean, what does your group chat look like? Is your shit boring where you guys like, hold hands? Like, that's so weak. 2028, I'm hoping a Democrat wins. I voted for Trump. I think Kamala winning would have been better for the Republicans and better for the right because we would have went through some pain and come back 2028 and going into the 2030s would have been strong to solidify and win culturally. But since we want to push Trump, and, it was good. Kamala was terrible. It was necessary, so we'll deal for now. But, things have to get worse before things get better. I'm not in this comfortability shit. We have to get worse. I don't care if I have to struggle for 20 years. So as long as that my children or grandchildren, those who will come after me will prosper and live. I mean, that's just sacrifice. And I think us as Americans, we understand that beyond anyone else. So, yeah. But when we get into the, just the crying about all this Jew hatred, Hamas, the reason for why these terrorist groups exist is because of Israel and because of the CIA and because of the GID, the Saudi intelligence. They were all propped up. The entire reason for why we had 9/11 is because the CIA, the Mossad, and the GID knew exactly where these guys were going. They had followed them. They had documented where they're at. They even have Israeli operatives. 200 Israelis got deported from the United States, and they live right among the hijackers. They knew exactly who they were. And guess what? It was going to benefit Israel and even the Saudis economically if the United States was if we got involved in the Middle East. And we spent fucking 30 years in this shithole destabilizing these people's countries. And that's why they're flooding Europe for revenge. And I don't blame them. I don't want them in the United States. I don't want them in the West. But I understand why they're over here. They're not these people who are just like, well, they're evil and they just hate Jews. Well, the reason for why they do it is because they blew up their entire homeland. You sit back and you've poisoned their water. You sit back and you've killed them. And the Israelis make jokes about it. They sit back and they cheer about it. They cheered when 9/11 happened. They were happy that it happened because now we can get involved. So, like I said, a lot of these people are new. They're new to the right. And they want to talk about this left. Like I said, politics is more than Democrat and Republican. Go read some Nietzsche. Go read some Rousseau. Get into philosophy. Go understand politics beyond the 90s. What I'm hearing is like 90. I feel like I'm on C-SPAN right now listening to Jordan talk. But this is what Black conservatives have become. It's become this, pro-Zionist identity. It's not about it's pro-Zionist. It's not even about it's not about America. It's not about America first. I'm not new.
Change what we are.
I'm not new at all. I've been here. I've been on the right forever.
You have more in common with the left than you do with the right.
I'm not a leftist. I've been on the right for a very long time.
Some of y'all should join the left. I mean, y'all use the same tactics, tearing people down.
Define the left for me. Is that like the gay bar? I don't know what the left is. Can you tell me?
I mean, just no integrity in what y'all do and what y'all
say.
I care about the integrity of my nation. You know what I say? I'm gonna say this. All he's talked about since he's got on here is Jews. And that's what I mean. It's Jew derangement syndrome. Not have Trump derangement syndrome.
It's a serious problem we have with government.
He literally has not said one thing that hasn't been
talked about a lot.
Jew hate. It's just
This
like
is what
in
you
his mind.
cried
I bet
about.
he
You
wakes
cried
up.
about
I bet
Jew
he
hate.
wakes up thinking about Jews. I bet he goes to
Your
bed thinking
entire
about
Twitter
Jews.
is about Jew hate. Like
I bet he just
the
like
Jews.
wakes up and then he's like taking a shower, thinking about how the Jews is like controlling the shower. Like
Showers.
that's probably like a
The
Jew
Jews
in
are
the
controlling
radio.
the showers.
Like,
Well, that's a change.
I mean,
Wow.
that's how they are. It's
They're
like
controlling the showers
that's
now.
exhausting. I mean, I would be exhausted with that mindset. Is exhausting. Like just like Jew.
Yeah.
Well, Jew. I mean, I just don't. I just it's. I'm just gonna say this.
Yeah.
Right. The only person I think about that much is God. Right. They have two. Right. They think about Jews like there's like they should a religious belief. Like it's become. I wanted to name my book The Woke Riot because I really believe all they're spewing is just revived Nazism. That's all it is.
No, it's not.
Wait, guys,
That's what we're winning.
pause for a second. We have super chats. Wait, guys. Let's take a break. Oh God, Kelly, who's a friend of the show, said, "Great show, HH." We know what that means. Kelly, why you had to say that? Jesus. Heaven said it's not a war, it's a genocide. It's still going on. Even the Times of Israel admitted that Israel killed its own people on October 7th.
Based.
And Heaven also said Zionists are those who say that are Jews but are not of the synagogue of Satan, Revelations 2.9, Reverend, what do you think about that scripture? Because a lot of people bring up.
There's a field in the theology school. If you go to theology school like I did, right? Mm-hmm. There's a field called exegesis of the scripture. You can't just take one verse of the Bible and try to take it out, right? Because that's the same thing they did during slavery, right? There were people that taught slaves that they were inferior, like Nick Fuentes, who said plenty of times that black people are inferior to the white people and all that type of stuff. So I don't know any black person.
He says low IQ things.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know any black person. I mean, at the end of the day, I might criticize the black community, but it's from love, right? Like I legitimately love the black community. Too. And some black conservatives.
Can I ask you a question of something about something you said that really bothered me? Yeah. Remember when what's that young man's name that killed the boy in Texas?
Carmelo Anthony.
When you talked about him needing the death penalty, what's the difference between that and some of the things that those people say? Because like the black community was really hurt and upset when you said that.
Well, because I believe in justice, right? And I believe even in the Bible to have the death penalty. I believe if you kill somebody, actually in the Bible is an eye for an eye before the New Testament came. The penalty in the Old Testament was if you killed somebody, you die, right? So I believe in that type of justice. I believe that if you kill somebody, then you should. I believe the person who killed Charlie Kirk should get the death penalty. I believe in the death penalty. I believe it's biblical, and I can argue that from a biblical point of view. So I don't have a problem with Carmelo Anthony, right? But I think killing him in cold blood, I think that person will never get their life back, right? And I think what that father did, turning Tyler in, was a great thing. So when I criticize black people, I do have disagreements with Andre on the black community. I do, but I'm not. My heart is for the black community to rise. Right. I want to see the black community rise. I want to see them grow. I want to see them wake up. And I don't think this woke riot is helping black people, right? I know a lot of black people have reached out to me and said they're not going to become Republican because of what they're seeing on X. I know a very big independent. She was about to become a Republican, right? And she saw the Nazi stuff and she saw like the racism and she was like, I think I'll just be independent, because it turns people off. And if Nick Fuentes and people like him are the face of our country, we're going to lose the middle.
But Reverend Nick Fuentes says he's not a Republican. He denounces Trump. He wanted Trump to lose. He campaigns against the Republicans, to be clear. Yeah. So a lot of these people. So I mean, I hear your point, and I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you, Reverend. But I think a lot of people are confused in that regard. Like, am I wrong, Andre? Doesn't Nick say these things?
Yeah, Nick is, like I said, I think even after the first term, a lot of us who are adjacent, like I said, I'm not a fucking lapdog for Nick, but I really don't care. Yeah, we were.
No,
really
I know, but I'm just, because you're far right like him. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we were really turned off by the the pro-Israel stuff, the just failing with the economy, just everything has been shit from Trump, from even the last administration. So, but we were hoping it would get better, but it did not. So,
I don't believe that everything's been bad with the economy, or so first of all, I want to say this, right? Trump has done more in the time he's been here a year than any president we've seen, right? So so first of all, we can go with his executive orders on wokeism, getting biological men out of women's sports. A lot of his executive orders, he only can do so much because he has the filibuster right there. He's been trying to get it removed, but his executive orders on securing the border, he closed the border. These people say they're against immigration. He's got more people out than any president since. 2 million people already. You know, millions have
2 million out of how many people are already here?
So, but it doesn't matter. It wasn't Biden let those people.
Who cares if Biden?
So he's
We've been dealing with this problem since the
I know,
60s.
but I'm telling you what Trump has done, right?
Yeah,
so
Trump has done a
you said
piss-poor
Trump
job,
hasn't done
honestly.
anything, and that's
He's
your
done a
opinion.
piss-poor job,
Like I said, I don't believe the people that are saying they're far right. I don't believe they're far right. I don't believe they're in a part of any political party.
Because you don't even know what
There's
right
a lady
wing
I
is.
debated called Amanda Shields. I don't know who y'all are. You believe you know she is, but she's not really. There are people who I believe who are not a part of any political party. They don't give solutions. They just talk crap. I really believe that's people. They just say how horrible things are or this and that. I don't believe they're part of any political party. They really need to start their own party, right?
What? Yeah, that's what we should do. Why should we be a part of
So
any
they need a
political
third party. They, so I don't believe that people like Andre or Nick Fuentes are a part of either party. I do agree with that, right? So and that's fine. But I believe in the things the Republican Party stand for: capitalism. I believe in the focus on pushing traditional family values against having transgenders in our playing in with our girls, going into our bathrooms. Those are important issues for me. Getting rid of wokeism, school choice, these type of things. Capitalism. I'm against socialism. I'm against what Mandami is pushing. Because I believe it leads to Venezuela, Cuba, a government-run grocery stores. So on Trump's worst day, he couldn't have been anything like Kamala. And it's easy for people like him to say that we've never lived through communism, right? Trump has ended 8 wars, and they keep talking about how
we haven't ended 8
man
wars.
is
That's such a lie that we've been hearing. We haven't ended 8 wars.
Like nothing he can do can help these people.
We haven't ended 8
reality
wars.
of it is they're one-issue voters. They're one-issue voters.
Nobody's one-issue voters. Like I said, this is the new right. These people are so new.
Trump, they just want Trump to be done with Israel.
Right over here.
They don't have. That's the one issue they have. Is Israel. So
that's
they're
not
not
the
going
one
to be
issue.
happy
If
with
you ever
Israel.
watch any
Like
of
I
the
said,
people
they
who
would
talk
probably
about
be
these
good with
things, it's
Mandami
multifaceted.
because Mandami wants to kill. He wants like the global intifada thing. So they probably should go, support Mandami, right?
Dude,
because
this guy
that's
is so
for their
low IQ.
speed. I don't even know what, besides deportation, I don't know what they believe that's actually right. Right.
So let me tell you what I believe. Let me explain someone who's been on for the right for like the last 10 years. One, American nationalism. What does that mean? The American people, those who are here in this country, who have an historical tie to the land, who have been here for generations, right? Who are citizens, right? We want them to be put first, economically, socially, politically, right? When it comes to immigration, yes, we want mass deportations, but also we want a mass restriction on legal immigration. I don't want to import people from India and China. I don't want H-1B1 visas. The same problem that Democrats have with bringing in illegals to work cheap jobs and tell us that, oh, these are jobs Americans don't want to do. Bullshit. The Republicans are bringing over people at the high level, which is fucking over a lot of people in college, a lot of people who are trying to get these jobs in tech and medicine. Fuck that. Both parties are corrupt. When it comes to the foreign wars, we don't want any more foreign wars on the behalf of other countries. I don't want to send any money to Ukraine. I don't care about what's stop.
We're not in any wars right now.
Stop.
We're not in any wars. Enzo, can Enzo speak real quick?
Let me continue to speak because you keep chipping out. You're like,
Enzo,
I don't know if the Zoom's open.
Is there any foreign wars going on right now that America's involved in?
There's no foreign wars that America's involved in.
Okay, there's no foreign wars.
Yes, we are.
Andre Williams.
Ukraine and Israel. Ukraine and Russia is about to
Great. Okay.
I'm not gonna say he's because America is not involved in any foreign wars.
Yes, we are. In terms of boots on the ground,
America
no. But involved politically, yeah, we're involved in the conflict.
Hold on, Reverend, let him finish and then you can respond.
Yes, in terms of boots on the ground, obviously. I serve. I just got the Army of the Year. No, we're not on boots on the ground. We got troops. Now, in the special operations community, we do have ongoing engagements in Africa. We do. I think we still have some some troops in the Middle East, but it's not as expansive as it was a few years ago. Are we directly fighting certain nations? No. Are we doing counterterrorism operations? Yes, constantly through the CIA, through Special Operations Committee. That's something that is on the books. Everyone knows that. When it comes to Ukraine, we're involved in that. We got involved in it because we're tied with NATO and we've been pushing Ukraine and funding Ukraine. So we are involved in that war. We've been involved in that war for a very long time. When it comes to Israel, we send money, we send rockets, we send all this fucking foreign aid to Israel. So we're involved in that. Those are two conflicts that we are deeply involved in. And now we're trying to start something with Venezuela, which, I think is kind of based. I think that's pretty based. But I don't think it's going to go pretty well for us, especially at this time. But we've got troops everywhere. We're always involved in something. But do we have active, ongoing? We got the 1st Infantry Division fighting over here. It's like, no, we have constant rotations in and out. Our troops get shot at. We're not seeing what we saw in the 2010s or in the early 2000s. But still, at the end of the day, no, he didn't solve 8 wars. I mean, these wars and these conflicts are still going on, or they're still. There may be a ceasefire, but he didn't end these conflicts that have been going on long before Trump got in office. This is the shit that I really hate, and it pisses me off because this is the new right. The new right has become like these whiny teenagers. They're like, oh, everything Trump does is great. I didn't believe that in 2015. I'm not going to sit here and ride a guy. I support Trump because he's the closest thing to a nationalist candidate. He's the closest thing to a populist candidate, and that's it. And he's been moving away from that ever since with the economy. I mean, when I start hearing about 50-year mortgages, this is disgusting. When I start hearing about H-1B1 visas, that's disgusting. When I watch the National Guard deployments get watered down, I mean, it's like bullshit. Go harder on that. Immigration, go harder on that. Put out more propaganda, put out more recruitment ads to get people into ICE and start deporting these people. All this shit is just stupid. And even with the supporting of we support the war of Israel. The war Israel was involved with Iran. We supported that. If we had not gotten involved, Israel would have got their ass whooped, and that would have been great to watch. But no, we had to come to Israel's defense. Yeah, and guess what?
I want to let Enzo respond, and then we're going to do closing thoughts. So I'm gonna let Enzo respond and have him do his closing thought because we'll wrap up because I know everyone it's getting late, guys. Here we go.
Yeah, I'll just do my closing thoughts. This was a different episode, very cool. Jordan and Andre, thank you guys for coming. This was great. Heard a lot from both sides. At the end of the day, thank you guys for coming. That's all I got to say.
Again, thank you to Jordan and Andre for coming. Reverend Wells, you are a friend of the show. Andre is as well. Reverend, we got to bring you back. I promise it won't be so spicy. We really do love you. And I want to talk more about the anti-Zionism movement. Are you going to AmFest, Reverend Wells?
I'm not going because I don't. Tucker's going to be there, and I don't really want to be. Yeah, I mean, I'm connected to people at Lexic and different things, but I just don't want to. But I mean, I think that what they're doing is still great, and I think I'd support Turning Point, and I believe in the big tent. I'm not like Andre. I don't want to burn it down. I believe,
but they canceled Tim Pool for what he said on Israel this week. He's not going.
Right. I think that at the end of the day, my closing remarks on Israel is this. There are real Jews being hurt. People are believing the stuff that they're hearing from people like Andre and Nick Fuentes, and is putting a target on the back of Jewish people, right? Because some people, it's not just that they hate Israel. I get the comments all day. Jews are evil. It is not good because honestly, it's just not. And I hate when people try to bring Christ into it. It's not Christian. I don't care what you say. So if you want to say it's your personal opinion, but as a person that has given his life to the Bible, has studied it read it front to back, there's nothing that aligns with that anti-Semitism and hate that go along with the word of God. God is a God of love. He loves all people, and he loves Jews, and we all are evil in the eyes of God. And we all need to repent, right? All of us could be anything, right? So I don't believe in singling Jews out. I don't believe that Jews are the root of all evil. I believe we wrestle not against flesh and blood. So I just believe that a lot of these arguments that we're making, people have just had to set their minds on, and I'm going to continue to fight because I don't believe Andre has to have my opinion. You know, I really don't. I mean, I don't think you can have your opinion. My problem with people like Andre is that they don't value my opinion. And that's the problem I have, because I value his opinion, you know, and I want him to be a part of our tent, just not try to tear it down. Don't focus don't focus all your attention on tearing down the right. The only force is trying to fight against the left, because I believe the left is worse than the right. Right. If you can't say mutilating children and the things that they believe in is bad, we should be able to join together, like Charlie said, against that. But so that's my closing thoughts on that. And I just thank you guys for letting me come on, and I appreciate it.
Well, Reverend Wells, you spoke to a lot of Andre's people tonight who have the mindset, and Andre, you spoke to people that have Reverend Wells' mindset. So it's important to have this conversation. So I appreciate you guys for coming. Andre, what's your closing thoughts? You're muted, dear.
Wow, boomer tech. We're over here muted. I'll say this. This is the problem that we're having on the right. It's good that we're having this clash between these ideologies and these talking points. I'm glad to see this. This has been a long time coming. It really doesn't matter, these debates, because in the next 10 years, the anti-Israel crowd, the people who want a national divorce from Israel, they're going to win at the end of the day. The Republican Party is going to be dead. The Republican Party has been dying for a very long time. They've just been, 20 years behind the left. I'm not into this left-right politics. Politics is far more expansive than just left and right, red team, blue team. It's far deeper than that. We're fighting for the soul of our nation. We're fighting for the existence of the people here, and we're trying to establish something that's greater beyond our own. But this, this ass-kissing of Israel economically, socially, and even spiritually, it's disgusting among Christians. I mean, you're not a Christian if you support Israel. You're not a Christian if you're over here doing the bidding of Jews. It's not good. It's not beneficial for us. So I think MAGA's dead. MAGA's been dead since the beginning of the year. Trump has lost a lot of people who were very supportive of him for the last 8 years. We're done with this. We're no longer going to sit back and support. We're not going to support J.D. Vance. We're not going to support all these other people who are just the establishment GOP. And for my black conservatives, I'm really going to start hitting on you guys even more. Black conservatives have destroyed black conservatism with their weakness, with their whininess. They're very weak. They don't want to talk about the black issues. They just want to be mouthpieces for boomer white conservatives. That's it. For boomer white conservatives, that's it. They don't want to be hard and aggressive on the real issues. Most of them are black liberals who lived in the suburbs, became conservative because it was comfortable, because they want another group to be in. They're not serious about politics. They have no understanding of politics. They're very new. So they should sit back and listen to people who've been in this for a very long time. And I'm going to do even more and more of shitting on these people. Blexit, the TPUSA, we're going to shit on all over that, because they've ruined it. They've killed it. They don't present a strong alternative for black people, nor people who are patriotic about this country, who are black. They don't present a sound alternative. And we need to do that in our community. So, Jordan, you'll see more of me. You're going to see more of me on your Twitter, and you're going to have a lot of my followers. I'm sorry. I feel bad. I feel bad for you, buddy. I love you.
My arguments are pretty strong, so I'm not worried about your followers.
They're not at all, but okay.
Oh, man. Thank you guys for coming. I'm going to let Gray close out. Gray, can you say the super chat that came in?
The super chat. You are of your father, the devil, John 8:44. That's Kelly, a friend of the show. Thank you, Kelly, for the super chat. Big shout out to Andre and Reverend Jordan Wells. Y'all both have helped us out tremendously. Both of these guys are huge on social media, and they have worked with us multiple times. They're way bigger than us, and I like that they come and help us out. And so big shout out to them. Definitely go follow them. And this should show you that both of them talk about the black community, and then they disagree on this. So this should show you that you can't put people in a box. People think totally differently. They may say something, but they may disagree on something completely different. So I feel like this should make people look at black conservatives, or people who they may feel like have black conservative talking points, a little bit differently, and see that people can be reasoned with. And thank you guys for being mature. I know it got very feisty, and thank you for working with us. Like we always say on New Party, always vote.
Always vote, guys. Again, big thank you to Reverend Jordan Wells. Reverend Wells believed in us when we were much smaller. Reverend, we broke 100,000 views a couple of nights. So Thank you for supporting us when we were like nothing. And like I'm like, Reverend, you want to come on? He's like, sure. He's always worked with us. And Andre as well. Andre, whether you agree with him or not, he is going to be a big face in the Black conservative movement, well, the Black right-wing movement. And I think Reverend Wells is important as well, because Reverend Wells represents another side of Zionism, and we need to have all voices at the table. I believe we need voices that are anti-Israel and pro-Israel at the table, because again, I'm going to say a scripture, and that's Matthew 19:26. Anything is possible with God. We are going to get our country back. We are going to have a country that's united again, and we are going to have a country that puts America first, whatever that looks like. America first could mean you're helping other countries as well. I think all voices are important, though. God bless. Good night. And also, we will be having a best of show next week, Wednesday and Thursday, so please check it out. And happy Thanksgiving to everyone. God